Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to day 60 dropshipping. It feels really good to be here. 60 days in, it feels great. Today was a banger of a day. Been sitting right here at my desk for the past 6 hours, probably. So let's just jump straight into it. So yesterday, I launched the advertorial and the ads. So the performance, I'm looking at it right now. As far as the ads, our cost per mile was $26. We ended up spending $96.95. Cost per click was 54 cents. CPC all is 35 cents. So that could possibly be I honestly don't know where that comes from, but possibly the ad library or bots, which there was about, Microsoft Clarity did recognize about 23 bot sessions. So there is that. But here's a really strong one. CTR all, 7.56%. That is phenomenal. That means our angle and our static ads that are not native but problem aware definitely resonate with our audience. That is great. And the CTR for the link click-through rate is coming in at a 5%, actually 4.87%. So that is really solid as well. Really solid metrics. And then we get to the actual funnel part with the advertorial, and that's where we completely fall off with the actual advertorial itself. So today, what I pretty much did was, there actually was buying intent yesterday. I do just want to say that there was buying intent, but zero sales. So basically, I was reading through my advertorial, and I did make it in first person point of view. And how I kind of did it was, I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a shorter advertorial. It came out to an 8-minute to 10-minute read time, depending on obviously how quick you can read. And then I had the product snippet in the actual advertorial instead of going to an actual sales page, which I did make today, which sales page, product page, pretty much same thing. That is debatable. I was watching a Mark Builds a Brands video. He said they're completely different, but if the goal is to sell a product, sales page, landing page, well, not landing page, but product page, quite literally very similar. So I did make that, and I took the product snippet out. But one massive change to the advertorial is, instead of first person point of view and kind of jumping across these different angles and different problems, I really made it a little bit more of a storytelling and a lot more informational. So like, if you're having this problem, why are you having this problem? And then when you get to the CTA, we're going to explain on how we can fix that problem, which I think it reads a lot better. Because when I was looking at Microsoft Clarity, the bounce rate was still pretty high, but the hook is good. The hook is definitely good. I will say that. But everything after the hook kind of fell off. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, we were just jumping around all these different angles, all these different problems, trying to be as direct as possible. And I feel like we didn't break down these problems and explain them and explain why they happen. Because, if you have a problem to a solution, but you don't even understand the problem, how are you gonna even get to the conclusion of a possible solution? That was a word slur right there, but wow. But basically, we slowed it down, broke it down, made it a lot more easier to read, a lot less technical. One thing that I did here is keep everything at a 5th grade reading level or below. Don't make some super complicated, complex word pie, mumbo jumbo, whatever. That's actually something that you probably want to avoid, because schooling is good now, but you look back 50 years, probably wasn't the best. Just gonna say that. We'll just leave it there. So then after the advertorial, they're going to the actual sales page where I doubled down on everything. Any objection that they possibly have, it's straight up, any possible objection, it's killed instantly. And I got that through my deep research. I did use quite a bit of AI just for the actual product research, because if you prompt ChatGPT correctly in deep research, it can scour Amazon reviews, hundreds and hundreds of Reddit posts, and give you basically real user data on what problems they're having, what they tried, their language. So I didn't use actual AI to make the sales page, but I used all the data that it gathered from Reddit, Amazon, etc. Actually, those are pretty much the only two. I try to stay away from in your prompting, tell it to stay away from any Wikipedia stuff, because that's not always the most credible information. Your data can actually get very, very skewed by that information with false just data that's not even real, not true. It's not validated by any means whatsoever. I always like real user data, which is always found on Reddit by problem-aware people describing their problem, looking for a solution, or people explaining their solution to the actual problem on hand. So that's that. The advertorial, I did read this one over. I do feel like it is 10 times better. It is a little bit of a longer read. I would say instead of 8 to 10 minutes, it's now 10 to 12 minutes. It's a lot more in-depth. We break down all the problems, and then as we wrap it up in the last few paragraphs to the concluding CTA, call to action, we definitely break down those problems and why we can help or fix those problems overall. And then the buttons, the buttons was the actual hard part, because as you know, with the advertorial, you're trying to sell something without immediately the person being aware that they're being sold. Basically a soft sell. Basically sell them before even pitching the product or the solution, which would be the product. And I did have that problem, because looking on Microsoft Clarity, not that many people go all the way down to the bottom where I had my product snippet, roughly only 16%, which I feel like if only 16% of the people saw the button, that would be a massive fall off, and there would be no sales either way. So I did add 5 buttons throughout the whole entire thing, mainly towards the bottom, because I want them to be hooked on reading so much that they don't even care that they're being sold if that person is not in a mood to buy anything. But then you get into buyer psychology, and I don't really know much about that. I know Mark Builds Brands, he did a video on that, and it's in my watch later playlist, and I probably should watch that, because that would probably get the pacing down a lot better. When to introduce the product, when to pitch it. I feel like that would be a little bit better. But as far as the metrics and the actual advertorial and sales page, I'm very optimistic about what's going to happen when I wake up today, because I looked at the data, I doubled down on everything. Obviously the ads are working. It really just comes down to is with how the advertorial reads, which personally I think is a lot better, but it's not even my opinion. It's more about the potential customers actual readers that are going to be reading this, their opinion on it, which it's not really any way to get into their brain and find out besides just look at the raw data. But the raw data is telling me meta ads, definitely green there. These metrics are phenomenal, if not great. Just missing one thing, actual sales. Advertorial, great. It's definitely, I honestly don't even want to say great. I'm still not the best copywriter, but as far as everything that I've done so far, you know, all the work that I've done, all the learning and reading I've done, I've implemented everything into this. So I'm very optimistic, and the sales page or product page is nothing crazy. I didn't spend too long on it, maybe like an hour and a half. It's touches all bases though. Product photos, great. The second product photo kills the top two main biggest objections, so kill those right off the bat. And then it comes down to offer, which I did create a pretty basic offer, and I could see that potentially being a fall off, but I felt like instead of having just 80% off, whatever, I just feel like with my audience, with them being a little bit more aware, a little bit of an older audience, a little bit more of well-educated audience, I would say, that 80% off flash sale, if you look at big, massive brands, they don't really do that whatsoever. I think 80% off, you know, these crazy offers, I think it's linked to dropshippers, and basically just everything linked with dropshippers is pretty much a pretty bad experience. So I'm trying to stay away from that as possible and separate that. And so I created an offer, just pretty basic, $10 off the first one, and then on the second tier, flat 35% off. So if they did want to buy it, they should buy it now. And it's not so much of an exaggerated offer where it doesn't feel like any objection of, is this too good to be true? Is this a scam? Is this a legit website? I don't think any of those objections are going to pop up with this offer just because of the simplicity of it. But that's pretty much it for today. Just two things. If you guys do want a Discord, let me know. I know I got a couple emails about it, and I think there probably should be a better way to connect with my audience. You know, we can all help each other out as we're all learning the game and everything. I've got a couple emails asking me about it. I'm just wondering if you did want to join a Discord. Obviously, no courses, no nothing. Everything's free, of course. And after that, just another update is I did get a new microphone instead of the AirPods, actually one of the clip-on ones. And then I did get, I don't even know what it's called. It's a holder for your phone. Yeah, I honestly forgot the name for it. I'm very tired right now. But, that actually pisses me off. I can't even, yeah, I don't know what it's called, but, tripod. I got a tripod, so instead of me looking down, it's going to be more level. So just wanted to improve the actual quality of the videos. So, but yeah, day 60, we have learned a lot. Actually feels really good to be here. I'm just thinking about, like, once we get to day 120, like, it's just crazy to think about where we're going to be at with the results that we have so far. Day 120, I don't know. I definitely have some goals for it, but I don't want to say them because I feel like when you tell your goals to people, they usually don't go the way you wanted them to go. So I'm just going to keep it to myself. But big plans, big goals, and I think that's great to have big goals. Obviously, write down goals that are physically way harder than you can actually achieve, so that even if you hit 25% of it, you still actually got a ton of results, even though you didn't hit your goal. Always aim way higher than what you actually reasonably expect to do, and your results will probably always most likely be 10 times better. But yeah, that's it for today. I have to go to sleep, but almost positive tomorrow we will have sales. Just very high conviction on this. I know I said that yesterday, but honestly, yesterday I was pretty tired. I definitely fucked up a lot of it. Well, not a lot of it. The ads are good, but the advertorial part, I definitely was thinking to myself, what would I like instead of what would the actual customer like, which completely demographic from who I am. So there's that. But yeah, see you guys. Peace.